For a very long time, the camera world felt a bit stuck. If you wanted the best features, you had to buy a massive full-frame camera. If you chose a smaller crop sensor camera, it felt like you were making a compromise. You got less power, fewer premium features, and a feeling that the big brands were holding back. Sony has been leading the camera market for years, but even they seem to treat their smaller cameras like an afterthought. The last big update we saw from them was in July 2023 when they released the A6700. On paper, it was a very good camera. It had a solid sensor, great autofocus, and decent video features. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. But if we are being completely honest, it did not change the game. It felt safe. It felt like Sony looked at the competition, did just enough to stay ahead, and then stopped. It lacked that special spark. It was not the kind of camera that made you stop, stare at your screen, and say, "I need to buy this right now." That long period of safety might finally be coming to an end. Right now, the camera community is buzzing with excitement. A massive wave of new leaks has hit the internet, and they all point to one specific camera, the Sony A6900. If even half of these leaks turn out to be true, Sony is not just making another minor update. They are making a massive statement. They are trying to prove that a smaller camera can fight head-to-head with the big, expensive full-frame models. The camera world is paying very close attention right now, and for good reason. The secret power of the stacked sensor. To understand why people are losing their minds over this camera, we have to look at the very center of it. We have to look at the sensor. The sensor is the heart of any digital camera. It catches the light and turns it into an image. For years, Sony used standard sensors in their crop sensor lineup. The A6700 used a very reliable 26-megapixel backside illuminated sensor. It was good, but it was old technology. The leaks show that the A6900 is going to change everything. It is rumored to feature a brand new 33-megapixel chip-on-wafer stacked sensor. Now, let us break down what that actually means without getting lost in confusing tech jargon. The jump from 26 megapixels to 33 megapixels is nice. It means your images will be sharper, and you can crop into your photos more without losing quality. But the extra megapixels are not the real story here. The real magic is that word, stacked. In a normal camera sensor, the part that catches the light and the part that processes the data are built next to each other or mixed together. This means the data has to travel down a long, slow road before the camera can use it. In a stacked sensor, things are built differently. The camera designers physically separate the pixel layer from the digital processing circuitry. They stack them right on top of each other like a multi-story building. This shortens the distance the data has to travel. It creates a massive, ultra-fast highway for information. The camera can read the visual data from the sensor at speeds we have never seen before in this category. It changes how the camera behaves in the real world. Why speed changes everything. So, why should a regular shooter or a video creator care about high-speed data readout? What does it actually do for you when you are out shooting? The first major benefit is the reduction of rolling shutter. You have probably seen rolling shutter before, even if you do not know the name. If you try to film a fast-moving object, like a train rushing by or a golf club swinging, the object looks bent or warped. If you pan your camera left and right very quickly, the straight lines of buildings look like jelly. This happens because standard sensors read the image line by line, from top to bottom. By the time the camera reaches the bottom of the sensor, the object has already moved. Because a stacked sensor reads the entire frame almost instantly, that warping effect completely disappears. Your fast-moving videos look perfectly straight, clean, and professional. The second big benefit is high-speed performance. When a camera can read data this fast, it can take photos at an unbelievable rate. It allows the camera to push its burst shooting modes to levels that used to be impossible. To give you some context on how rare this is, think about the competition. Before these leaks, only one major crop sensor camera on the market used fully stacked sensor technology. That was the Fujifilm X-H2S, which came out all the way back in 2022. Fujifilm had that crown all to themselves for years. Sony completely ignored the stacked sensor market for their smaller bodies, saving that expensive technology for their elite full-frame cameras like the Sony A1. By putting a stacked sensor into the A6900, Sony is finally entering the ring. They are telling their creators that they do not need to spend $5,000 on a giant full-frame body just to get elite, top-tier speed. breaking full-frame boundaries. The upgrades do not stop at speed. The rumors also suggest that this new 33-megapixel stacked sensor is going to break barriers when it comes to image quality. Specifically, the leaks state that the dynamic range on the A6900 will cross 15 stops. If you are unfamiliar with that term, dynamic range is the camera's ability to see both the darkest shadows and the brightest highlights at the exact same time without losing detail. Imagine shooting a person standing inside a dark room with a bright, sunny window right behind them. A cheap camera will make a choice. It will either make the room look good and turn the window into a blinding white mess, or will make the window look good and turn the person into a pitch-black silhouette. A camera with 15 stops of dynamic range can see both. It can capture the detail in the dark corners of the room and the blue sky outside the window at the same time. Historically, getting 15 stops of dynamic range was a luxury reserved exclusively for high-end, full-frame cinema cameras and expensive studio gear. It was considered physically impossible for a smaller crop sensor. If Sony delivers on this rumor, the A6900 will instantly become the very first Sony crop sensor body to operate at that professional tier. It erases the line between small cameras and big cameras. The brain inside the machine. Of course, having a super-fast sensor is completely useless if you do not have a brain that can handle all that data. You can build the fastest race car in the world, but if you put a tiny, weak engine inside it, the car will not go anywhere. To match the power of this new stacked sensor, Sony is reportedly dropping a massive engine into the A6900. The leaks show that this camera will feature the Bion's XR2 processing engine. If that name sounds familiar, it is because it is the exact same processing platform that drives Sony's current full-frame heavyweights, like the highly praised Sony A7S series. This is a massive design choice. Instead of giving the crop sensor camera a scaled-down, cheaper version of an old processor, Sony is giving it the absolute best brain they have right now. This combination of a stacked sensor and the Bion's XR2 engine is what unlocks the crazy performance numbers people are talking about. According to the leaks, the A6900 will be able to shoot at an astonishing 30 frames per second using the electronic shutter. Think about that for a second. That means when you hold down the button, the camera is taking 30 full-resolution, 33-megapixel photos every single second. That is faster than the frame rate of a standard television show. You are essentially shooting a high-resolution movie every time you take a burst of photos. A shutter built for professionals. But Sony did not stop at the electronic shutter. They also paid a lot of attention to the mechanical shutter. Many modern cameras are moving away from mechanical shutters entirely, but purists and professional sports photographers still love them. They like the physical feel, the reliability, and the lack of digital artifacts in certain lighting conditions. The leaks describe the mechanical shutter on the A6900 as something truly special. It reportedly shoots at 15 frames per second. But the real news is the mechanism itself. It is rumored to share the exact same silent compact drive mechanism used in the legendary full-frame Sony A1 series. The Sony A1 is a flagship camera that costs thousands of dollars and is used by the world's top sports and wildlife photographers. Putting that exact same premium, whisper-quiet mechanical shutter drive into a smaller body is a huge deal. It shows that Sony is treating the build quality of this camera with the utmost respect. On top of that, the maximum electronic shutter speed is expected to reach a staggering 1/16,000 of a second. This is an incredibly fast speed. It means you can go outside on the brightest, most sun-drenched summer day, put a lens with a very wide aperture on your camera, and shoot wide open without overexposing your image. It allows you to freeze time completely.